Welcome to Will It Build, the series where I take your builds from my YouTube comments and Discord server and put them to the test to see if they are the real deal. If it's solid, then I'll gift you 1,000 silver, and if it's really something special, you'll be featured in a dedicated build video for your submitted build. So comment yours below so we can answer the question, will it build? Welcome back to another episode of Will It Build, and happy holidays, by the way. I hope someone has told you that they're thankful for you, and if they haven't, well, I think you're the bee's knees, and you're pretty awesome. Today, we have an incredible hunter build that I am super excited for, one that I genuinely believe could be the best hunter build this entire season. You're gonna notice, first things first, we are using the Silk Strike Super. That is because in this build submitted by Benedict, they wanted to utilize the newly buffed roaming supers, where now with roaming supers, we get triple bonus super energy when we have a roaming super equipped, in conjunction with the fact that these roaming supers now deal 30 to 35% bonus damage towards champions. The idea that they have with this build is that we're effectively going to be spamming Silk Strike 24/7, and in the situations where we don't have Silk Strike up, we are using Stylish Executioner, Winter Shroud, Grapple Grenade, and Combination Blow, which also synergizes with a lot of our, whilst not necessary, very, very powerful artifact mods to basically be one-shotting every single thing on the map, either because of Combination Blow ×3, the weapons that we're going to be using, or the fact that we're in our super 24/7. So the first thing I want to talk about with this build, and don't worry, I've got you covered. Don't freak out. I know you see an exotic class item. Here's the deal with this exotic class item. In theory, the best setup that you could have for this build, as per their recommendation, is a class item with the Spirit of Galanor and the Spirit of Liar. Spirit of Galanor, of course, giving us up to 50% super energy refund due to getting hits with our Silk Strike, allowing us to use Silk Strike more frequently, and Spirit of Liar allowing us to have our melee deal bonus damage. I am not sure whether or not Spirit of Liar also buffs our Silk Strike super damage. Dealing damage with a powered melee or being hit by a melee attack will allow you to follow up with an extremely powerful arc melee counter punch. Here's the thing. If you do not have a class item that has this combo of Galanor and Liar, since that is only a 1 in 64 chance, it is completely okay. With this build in particular, you could completely get by with a class item that only has Spirit of the Liar and some other perk, or if you don't even have a class item at all that has Spirit of the Liar, you can simply go with the standard traditional Liar's Handshake exotic gauntlets in the worst case scenario. So even if you're someone who hasn't farmed up exotic class items, you can still absolutely 100% use this build. You just won't be having supers up as frequently as you could if you had a Liar Galanor combo. Looking at our subclass, we already discussed all of our different abilities. We are going with the Facet of Protection, where we are going to have bonus damage resistance when near enemy combatants. Makes perfect sense for a melee-based build, and a build where we're going to be using a melee-based super as well. We've got Courage, where our Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets afflicted with darkness debuffs, which makes perfect sense because everything is always going to be slowed thanks to Winter Shroud, and this is going to significantly buff the damage from our Combination Blow melee attacks. We've then also got the Facet of Dawn, where powered melee hits are going to make us radiant, and if we get melee final blows, which will be happening very frequently, we make all of our allies radiant as well. Next, we have the Facet of Sacrifice, where when we have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, our ability final blows are going to grant bonus Transcendence Darkness energy. I don't know exactly which Arc, Solar, or Void buff we're gonna have. I'm thinking maybe Amplified is the one that they're banking on for this artifact mod. I do also know for a fact that through some of our artifact mods, there are also going to be some other light buffs that we could take advantage of. We'll get there in a moment, but I think this is primarily going to be banking on Amplified. But what I really love about this build, I'm really happy that they were able to find this synergy, because I have always felt that the Facet of Purpose, if you're able to pair it with a Strand Super so that the Orb of Power pickups give you Woven Mail, which in my opinion is probably the strongest of these 5 available buffs through the Facet of Purpose. It's in close competition with Restoration in my opinion. Being able to have Woven Mail from Orb of Power pickup is absolutely insane. It's always been a bit of a catch-22 because you have to use the Silk Strike Super in order to achieve that, and Silk Strike historically has not been particularly good, at least not when compared to Golding on Marksman, Silence's Squall, and Deadfall. But with the recent roaming super buffs, I feel like this could be really, really, really solid. Looking at the weapons, it's pretty much dealer's choice. In fact, it's 100% dealer's choice when it comes to your kinetic and heavy weapon, as far as I can tell from their recommended post, where they just had the new Stasis Grenade Launcher and the Echo's Lost Signal, Denial, Waveframe, Grenade Launcher. I'm just going ahead and mimicking what they had, but if you want to use something else, you are completely free to do whatever you want. They did not specify the usages of these. What they did specify, however, was going with Red Death. Now, their justification for Red Death is that this weapon can heal you as well in conjunction with all of the other healing methods that you have through something like Combination Blow, so it can save you from death and heal you in a ranged capacity. If we look at Red Death, we have Redemption, where final blows with this weapon will cure you and increase reload speed. Reloading after final blows cures nearby allies. And whilst I don't yet have it, the Catalyst allows final blows to charge the weapon, and when the weapon is charged, the next final blow will create a healing burst at your location and leaves a remnant behind that provides restoration to allies. Now, I do not think that this catalyst is going to be necessary whatsoever, so if you're like me and you don't really grind out your catalyst, I did a little bit of Shirochi grinding before we started this build so I could test out how the gun felt with the build without and with the catalyst. And my general just reading things is that the catalyst is not going to be a necessary part of this build. So if you're at 0%, I wouldn't sweat it. You're still good to go with Red Death. And frankly, I'm not even entirely convinced that it's going to be necessary and that you could, frankly, I think you could actually go with whatever exotic weapon you want here, whatever 3 weapons you'd like. We'll figure that out as we go, though. With that in mind, looking at the mods, we are obviously kind of floating over towards the Red Death build synergy with the Solar Siphon to make Orbs of Power with Red Death multi-kills in conjunction with Double Solar Weapon Surge to get a 17% weapon damage bonus on Red Death when we are armor charged. And other than that, it's really all melee mods. So we've got Hands On, where we get bonus super energy on melee kills in conjunction with Dynamo, where we reduce our super cooldown when we use our class ability near targets, which makes perfect sense for the Combination Blow Gambler's Dodge gameplay loop. What I love about this one is that they are integrating a triple heavy-handed setup into this build, which allows us to effectively create an Orb of Power with every single powered melee kill, which is awesome with something like Combination Blow, because even if you don't have your powered melee ability ready, if you have the Combination Blow buff active in your HUD on your buff screen, every single melee final blow counts as a powered melee final blow. And because we have triple heavy-handed on, and it makes the cooldown of orb power generation on powered melee final blows only down to 1 second, you're basically making an orb on every single hit, further allowing you to spam Silk Strike as much as humanly possible. Chests are standard with whatever concussive dampener or resistance mods you like. You could also probably go with a melee damage resistance mod as well if you would like, since you're going to be playing up close. I'll probably slot that in just to see how it feels. You can even go with melee damage resistance instead as well, and if you have enough energy, you could try to fit in like a melee damage resistance, a concussive dampener, and another elemental one. For this build, harmonic resistance, not a lot of stuff doing strand damage, so the harmonic resistance isn't huge, but we can try out something like concussive dampener and melee damage resistance, kind of dealer's choice there. And down the class item, this is where I might end up making a few tweaks. They have us with Proximity Ward, where we gain a powerful overshield when performing our finisher, and a double powerful attraction to instantly scoop up any orbs that we create with our siphon, and that we create with our triple heavy-handed. Now finally, and I don't think that any of these are necessary for this build, so I do believe this will still work very, very well outside of Episode Revenant, but some of these mods take this build from a 10 up to like a 15. And this is where I think things get really out of control, and why I said I think this is going to be the hunter build of Revenant. Authorized Mods Melee is going to take all of our melee mod energy cost down to 1. So our hands-on mod up on our helmet that typically costs 3 energy is going to be 1. Our triple heavy-handed, which are typically 3 energy apiece for a total of 9, are down to 1 energy apiece for a total of 3. These aren't necessary. So like, I mean, theoretically, you can still fit all of these mods and all of these pieces of armor outside of using this artifact mod, outside of Episode Revenant, but it helps you squeak in some extra mods, some stat bonuses, and things of that nature. Another artifact mod that I think is going to take this build up from 10 to 15 is Power from Pain, where rapid final blows against weakened combatants grant you Devour. Now, I don't know the specifics of like the numbers of how many enemies we have to get what is rapid final blows and how much time do we have to do that, but the reason this could be gigantic is because if you can get Devour rolling on this build, you are never dying, point blank. And the reason we're able to theoretically rapidly defeat weakened targets is because with Stylish Executioner, after performing a Stylish Execution, your next melee attack, while invisible, weakens targets. So if we're able to weaken enough targets quickly and get final blows on them, through that artifact mod, we could get Devour. And if we're continuously killing things nonstop, that obviously adds time to our Devour, so it never expires. We're getting grenade energy, and we're getting heals, and we're just simply never dying. The final artifact mod that I think is going to take this build into the stratosphere is Conductive Cosmic Crystal, where your arc abilities are going to do bonus damage to targets that are affected by a stasis debuff. And if we look specifically over here, dodging is going to slow nearby enemies, which is a stasis debuff, and our combination blow, of course, is an arc ability. So I think those three mods are not necessary for this build to properly function, but I think they're going to take it to the next level. Another mod that's going to be a little bit nice is something like the Thick of It, where rapid final blows while surrounded grant you armor charge. This is going to be super necessary because we're going to be creating plenty of orbs with our triple heavy-handed and our siphon. It adds a little bit of extra armor charge, which is nice, and concussive reload allows our grenade launcher to weaken tankier targets. We have that kinetic slot and heavy slot grenade launcher. I think this actually only works with breach loaders. I might be wrong. Now that I'm reading this, though, I'm contemplating a potential synergy where if you can weaken enough targets with the grenade launcher, that could then in turn allow you to proc power from pain and get your devour. However, I'm not sure how well that's going to work because this is only weakening bosses and champions and combatants that have shields. And I don't know if even if you weaken those larger scale, higher health pool targets, if you're killing them quickly enough to be able to proc power from pain. We'll see how that works out. We got a lot of things to test with this build, but overall, I think it's going to pass with flying colors. I'm just excited to see how powerful it actually is. We're going to go ahead and hop into the usual contest of elders with 2 viewers from the stream, Makomi and Hive Fallen, and I Can't Get Up. Twitch.tv/Mactics, by the way, where we film all of these live. Would love to have you stop by. We're going to take it for a spin and answer that question. Will it build? So we got a lot going on with this build. The very first thing that I kind of want to figure out is kind of how quickly I can get my super with the revamped super changes. So I'm just going to start blasting with the Red Death. Honestly, it's probably a little faster to get my super using my Dynamo hands-on heavy-handed setup, which anyone who's been watching the channel for a while knows how incredible the synergy is between combination blow, Gambler's Dodge, Winter Shroud, Stylish Executioner for the constant melee resets, one-shot kills on everything. You got Liar as well for the bonus damage, your one-shot and even the tankier targets. And just for super energy regeneration, Dynamo giving you super energy, hands-on giving you super energy on melee kills, heavy-handed creating orbs on all of those melee kills, and powerful attraction scooping up the orbs when you dodge. Just get your super so ridiculously fast. So we already have our super. So we're going to pop it, and we're just going to start letting it fly. Heavy attack so we can do our swirl, get a little bit of AoE going. And we've got our tanky target coming in here. And I'm curious, we got about a little more than a quarter of our super back, so we probably could have gotten a little bit more over there. But it's no problem, because then we can stroll on over here, start nuking everything with our melee. We can pop our prismatic. Tag that guy. Tag that guy. We almost have our super back. And there she is. Grapple in. Boom, boom, boom. I'm curious if I get 50% back if I just whack the exact same target with my entire super. Not quite 50%, but pretty darn close. Listen, it's very, very nice to get almost 50% of your super back, but I think it's very important to emphasize you're still going to get your super back very, very fast with this build, whether or not you're using Galanor. So genuinely, if you do not have an exotic class item that has the Galanor Liar combo, it's completely okay. You're going to get your super back a little less frequently, but it's not going to completely break the build. I'm also curious, are we getting Devour when we spam kill these guys? I can't tell if we have Devour or not because we have so many buffs. I'm 99% sure we do not have Devour because we're not getting spikes of grenade energy back on final blows. And if we did have Devour, then we would be getting spikes of energy, grenade energy back on final blows. So I'm not sure how easy it is to proc that artifact mod that we were talking about. Nonetheless, even if we can end up getting Devour, the cure from the Red Death kills, and once we eventually unlock the Red Death Catalyst, the charged up shot, where final blows are going to give us restoration, will be completely fine. And the nice thing about this build as well is that even if you mess up your melee combo, you've got your Red Death exotic primary. Getting precision hits with an exotic primary is going to give you crazy amounts of super energy as well. Got our Transcendent. Also, too, the Transcendent is a nice emergency button if you mess up your melee combo and you need to get your melee back. Just pop your Transcendent, instantly refuels all of your abilities. You guys want to see something sick? When you are in Silk Strike, your grenade is automatically transformed into grapple grenade, regardless of what grenade you have selected. And whenever your feet touch the ground in Silk Strike, your grenade is immediately fully refunded. So like as a mobility tool, Silk Strike can go kind of hard. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons if you didn't know that before watching this video. I wonder how, for like, if you wanted to lean more into boss damage, Star Eater is column 1 in exotic class items, is it not? So you could theoretically go like Star Eater Liar. And with how many orbs you're making, with the triple heavy-handed, every single powered melee kill, you're gonna have Star Eater times 6. Every single time. You could go a Star Eater Galanor angle. You could go a Star Eater Caliban angle. Dude, there's a lot of stuff you could do with this. I have Star Eater Caliban right here. I've got Star Eater Galanor right here, which we could try. There's levels to this. Since, however, they did specifically recommend Liar Galanor, though, I want to do one more wave with the Liar Galanor, and then we'll test our alternative options in waves 3 and 4 to see how we're feeling about them. I'm also wondering if I want to mess around with some of the mods, because I'm not really getting a lot of finishers on targets, to be completely honest. I just do so much damage that like I never really have them in finishable territory. I'm feeling like a Reaper would make a little bit more sense here for bonus orb of power generation, since I am dodging so much. I'm down with the powerful attraction, the double powerful attraction, to guarantee that I scoop up orbs. I think Reaper could be a play, so I want to see how that feels. I'm contemplating as well. I think maybe instead of going the double powerful attraction, I think sacrificing one of those powerful attractions for a slightly reduced radius in exchange for a bomber mod with all the dodging that we're doing would give us our grapple grenade much more frequently. I think it would add a lot more mobility to this build with always having grapple up, so we can be kind of like swinging around back and forth on the map, always getting close range. Like theoretically, if I did try that, if we did throw that on, throw on bomber, hit one of those, hit the dodge. I just think we'll have our grenade up so much more often. If there was a way we could consistently get Devour through that artifact mod, I don't think it would be necessary. But it seems like we're not able to consistently proc that. I'm also wondering as well, recuperation has not felt particularly necessary given how much healing we have with combination blow and our red death. So to invest a little bit more into that max grenade uptime fantasy, I'm wondering if we want to slot in something like innervation so that we're not only getting grenade energy when we use our class ability, but that same class ability also procs powerful attraction to scoop up the orbs that we make with heavy-handed, which gives us even more grenade energy through innervation, so we can grapple even more often. And the nice thing about the grenade as well is that the grapple melee does count as a melee final blow, and thus will also proc heavy-handed and things like hands-on. Do you feel this would make a strong solo build? Absolutely. Because, like, I mean, you have every single tool that you need at your disposal. You're really not relying on anyone else, which, like, the best solo builds give you the tools to succeed without having to, like, rely on other players to, like, get buffs or debuffs or proc things or things of that nature, which this build absolutely fits the bill for. Grapple grenade is back, so we're gonna fly in. Boom. That creates an orb of power and gives us bonus super energy, because like I said, grapple melees do count for all of the melee mods. And we now have our catalyst on our red death, so we can go ahead and slot that in and feel how significantly different this build feels once we have Red Death Catalyst as opposed to not having it. As I alluded to previously, I do not think it's going to be necessary to have the Catalyst for this build. I think it'll feel a little bit better, of course, but don't think it's going to be required at all. Fly in, smoke this guy, pop super. Get some respectable damage off, and as many hits as possible equals Galanor refund. Got a decent amount back. Kind of want to get a little bit of ad clear going. Solar shield, pop with the red death. We have 0 stacks of combination blow right now, so we're pretty much exclusively killing with the melee. Or base melee, which is still working just fine thanks to the fact that we have Liar. So now as we progress into wave 3, I really want to experiment with alternative exotic class item options. Liar and Galanor has felt very, very nice. However, I'm not entirely convinced that at least in lower end content, Liar is going to be super, super necessary, because when you do get your combination blow stacking, for the most part, it's typically more than enough damage at combination blow times 3 to kill anything, even without something like Liar. I do want to, instead of doing Galanor and Liar, I want to try something like Star Eater and Galanor, where I'm investing much more into my super energy regeneration, kind of going all in on the super front of things. So let's get our dodge going. On these squishy targets, like we said before, Liars is simply not going to matter. We get our combination blow times 3, and we'll be fine either way. We're going to suffer a little bit more when it comes to the tankier targets, but my theory is that we can kind of make up for that simply by having a super that's going to hit way, way, way harder due to the fact that we're going to be Star Eater times 6. Let me get one of the thralls, a little squish here, orb number 5, and orb number 6. And a whop. And you're dead. Bye-bye. A little bit of super despair. I can't lie, that Star Eater feels nice. Now, what was the other one that we were considering testing? Was it this bad boy, Caliban Star Eater? I'm not sure if I would want to go the Caliban Star Eater angle, because whilst that is very potent for ad clear, Caliban just kind of hurts our ability to stack up Star Eater because the ignition explosions are going to kill all the trash mobs that we could otherwise kill with the dodge melee thanks to heavy-handed. I kind of like the idea of not having something like Caliban that chews up a bunch of trash mobs, because the trash bombs, as far as I'm concerned, when we're using Star Eater, are basically Feast of Light stack fuel. So I kind of want to stick with the Galanor Star Eater and just keep rocking and rolling with this bad boy and see how it feels. Time for Silk Strike 2, Electric Boogaloo. Not cool, Buster. I don't know what's going on. He's dead. I'm not. That's all I know. I win. Touchdown. And that'll do it for this bad boy. Will it build? Absolutely yes. I kind of guessed it would build from the get-go. I will say, though, weapon selection, in my opinion, you're completely free reign. I thought the Red Death felt nice, but, like, I definitely don't think that you would have to go with this. Interestingly, I felt like the only artifact mods that were genuinely very, very potent and powerful were the authorized mods melee, and that's really just because it allows us to slot in things like extra stat energy mods instead of having to, like, fill up 9 of our energy on our gloves with heavy-handeds. It only costs 3 energy. So, I mean, this was nice, but definitely not necessary. Conductive Cosmic Crystal felt really, really good. Didn't really notice Power from Pain proccing whatsoever. I don't know if we're just not getting enough kills on weakened targets. We're not able to weaken things frequently enough in quick enough of a succession to be able to proc it, but even without Devour, felt completely fine. Didn't really notice a difference. So that kind of makes me happy, because it means that it didn't really rely on seasonal mods or artifact mods whatsoever, and it still succeeded with flying colors, right? Past flying colors. Once again, exotic armor pieces, I know they're always a point of contention, right? Galanor Star Eater, in my opinion, is the angle you want to go if you really want to invest all in on your super, and is going to work significantly better in lower end content, where you don't really need the Liar's bonus to take out tankier targets. Once you venture into that echelon of content where things are a little tankier and require a little bit more oomph to kill, I think that's when you want to invest a little bit more in the Liar angle, where you go with something like Liar Galanor and you give up a little bit of extra super damage in exchange for a little bit of bonus neutral game viability with Liar, so that you're able to continuously safely get those melee final blows to get use of the dynamo, the hands-on, the heavy-handed, the powerful attraction, all that good stuff. In terms of mods, I like the feeling of Reaper, single powerful attraction, and Bomber in conjunction with the swap of the recuperation for the innervation a little bit more, just because it allowed us to have more grenade uptime, so we could be grappling around a lot more often, get more mobility. The solar weapon surges, I never felt like they were super impactful. I think if you wanted to, you could swap these out for something else. You could go like double absolution if you wanted to invest even more in the grenade energy regeneration. You could do like double innervation, 1 absolution. You could go a scavenger mod. I don't really know if these surges were super impactful. I didn't really feel them too much because most of my kills were through melees. I'm going to leave that one up to you guys. Hands-on, dynamo, triple heavy-handed, resistances, Reaper, powerful attraction, bomber. All I know is that is, and the innervation, that feels like the staple. Anything else, I think it's kind of up to you to switch it up. Fantastic submission. And I would love to see your fantastic submission as well. So if you have a build you think would excel in Destiny 2, I want you to go to my Discord server linked in the description below and submit your build in the Willable channel so we can review it in one of these videos. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate. Happy holiday season. And as always, have a great day.